Hi Pixel Junkies, this is Ariel Angelotti, and in the wake of recent tragedies that have been occurring across Japan, I thought I'd make this little announcement before the podcast starts. I just wanted to let everyone know that we recorded the podcast before the earthquake hit, and our thoughts go out to everyone who has been impacted by the events that have been occurring over the past week. We experienced some technical difficulties while recording this podcast, so the sound quality is quite poor. Expect episode 8 to be much better quality. And after this announcement ends, crank up your volume, kick back, and grab a sandwich or something.
Hey everyone, I'm Ariel Angelotti. Hey everyone, I'm Duncan Flett, and it's good to be back. With me today are the usual suspects.
Jaymin Kessler.
I'm Ariel Angelotti.
And I'm Cuthbert.
And welcome to PixelJunk Radio episode 7. Yay! Yay! So Duncan's back now. After a long hiatus.
Hopefully for good
time.
Yeah. And Jaymin and I just got back from San Francisco for
GDC.
a crazy week at GDC.
Great.
And we released PixelJunk Shooter 2.
Yes.
Yay! We hope you're all playing it because, yeah, we put a lot of love, sweat, and tears.
Let's hear the opening of the video for
there it goes.
for Shooter 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
Poor little underground.
Oh no!
I believe you just did.
It's pouring
busy,
everywhere.
Yeah, it's
That's a Japanese tradition, I
oh
think.
dear. I think that was probably my fault. I probably got.
Yeah, some from my homies.
Oh no.
It's for Bear who couldn't make it here.
Okay, so Bear's actually away from the podcast this week because he's knee deep in diapers and other exciting stuff.
We miss you.
We missed you, Bear. Yeah, Papa Bear is gone for the night. So thank you for joining us this time, Duncan. We appreciate
I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah.
With the cool, soothing tones.
Yes. We
The
got some
silky
emails.
tones of Duncan Flett.
We got some emails about that. So
Yeah. Male fans.
Yeah, and we do have a special surprise in store. It's a little ways off yet, but we are preparing something which features Duncan's smooth tones. So you PixelJunk Shooter fans have something to look forward to in the near future.
Yes, in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Is it a Survivor video featuring
It's
Duncan?
not a Survivor video, but it's awesome. So,
Jaymin's Survivor video was received quite well, so...
I was accosted on the street at GDC.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. By
men.
many people. Mostly men, yeah.
he was well, there was one guy who came up to you and
The cheese guy. Yeah, this guy just walks up, like, taps me on the shoulder from behind, and I'm like, can I help you? And he's like, you want some cheese? and my initial reaction was like, yeah, of course I want some. Wait a minute. Why are you asking me?
and there was
You found your secret weak point.
Yeah.
You're a famous man.
I know he was. Well, and then there was this one party we were going to,
Oh, no.
and the guy we were in a line to get checked off the list, and the guy behind us was like, "I thought I recognized you."
You're the guy from that thing.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. He was getting recognized.
Oh, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's alright.
Yeah.
pretty famous.
Infamous.
Infamous.
Yeah.
So we just released PixelJunk Shooter 2, and people have been raving about it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's... we see quite a few tweets each day, actually. About
Yeah.
it,
Oh yeah, it's really awesome to be following what people have been saying. Overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah, it's the people who actually get to the end of the game are just like raving about it. That's always good.
It's good stuff. And I love the way you can get on there and play with the devs, with the people who made it, right? So bring it on, losers.
Yeah.
Community opponent.
I just want to interject here though with one comment though about the quality of reviewing in the game industry. And and I know I need to mention this, but
It's okay for my teeth.
yeah, exactly. I think that's what we need because there are a few reviews there who had obviously not played the game. And I send the mail to them and ask them, can I quiz you about the later stages, to check whether they actually played the game or not. And then they profusely apologise, and then re-review the game,
and give a much higher score.
and give much higher score. So it's a very strange situation that with the reviewers out there who don't actually play the games they review.
I know, and I understand.
We put a lot more time into the
Yes,
games.
this is true, and we understand that you have a lot of games to review, but
Yeah.
you know.
So your suspicions are someone pick it up, play for 25 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah, and then they'll just guess the rest of the game.
Or even just 2 hours when our game is about 7-8 hours.
Yeah. And there's the whole online side of it.
Right.
I mean, we set up times for the reviewers to join in before the release of the games and play online, and we can see who joined in and who didn't. And the reviewers who joined in all loved the game and gave really high scores and gave us like in-depth reviews and stuff.
Right.
And the ones that played it once or didn't even play it at all are the ones that are very questionable comments, especially about the online stuff.
Fair play. I mean, the thing is, it's not communism, is it? I mean, you can give it the full Monty, give it a good go, come and play online. If you still think it sucks, that's fine.
Yeah, no, fine.
Yeah, that's fine. But you've got to give it a go.
Exactly, yeah.
But the Japanese response has been amazing.
Yes.
From the media and also the fans.
Crazy. I was surprised this time around. The Japanese media really picked up it. They wrote like in-depth articles about the online play and the comments from Japanese users, like on the Ni-chan, the 2-channel thing, have been like amazingly positive. Really loving it. Yeah. It's just great. They like the we make our games challenging. We don't make PixelJunk isn't about making fun of it. So we make our games challenging and fun, and that's the important thing. Yeah.
I was actually wondering, Dylan, I never talked to you about the origins of Shooter. What was the basic idea behind this fluid mechanic manipulation?
Well, it's kind of like a sandbox system. So when I was about 13 or 12 or some very young age, I had a Sinclair ZX Spectrum, and I was trying out ideas for games and programming BASIC and assembler, like a mix of the two. And I wrote this one demo which involved you running around the stage with balls sort of falling down, and like lots of them. And
these weren't yet magma balls, right?
No, I mean like tiny balls. So like, for example, in Shooter, the liquid is done with very small particles, lots of very small particles. That's how you do the simulation of the liquid. But back on the Spectrum, I couldn't do that because of the 8-bit computer and all that. But I had a system where the screen would have as many balls on it as possible, and I had this program that would scan the screen and then move them based on their surroundings. And so you could actually have like a breakable rock area, and above it there'd be all these balls above it. And when you break the rock, all the balls would start falling down through the hole and stuff like that. And I was trying to do that, but it only ran at about 1 frame every second. But so I sort of put it out to the side when I was about 13 and went on to other ideas and stuff. When I came back to 2D games, when we were thinking up ideas for PixelJunk, that's when I pulled on all these sort of failed experiments in the 80s. So Racers was one of them as well. Something I tried to make in the 80s and didn't quite finish it, or didn't quite get to the actual full game stage. Eden as well is based on like a jumping game, which I actually did finish. I made a game called Mr. Blobby. Mr. Blobby, and it was a vertically scrolling game where you had a variable sized jump that you could control, and you try and get as high as you can within the stage. So a lot of those PixelJunk ideas come from my roots in the 80s. ZX Spectrum era.
That is true.
12 years old doing this stuff is ridiculous.
I know.
That's nuts.
It's so quick to make those things. Back then, I'm always amazed how long development times are nowadays.
Right.
Because back then, I would, for example, that ball demo, the ball sort of game, I knocked that up in about a week. But the iteration was just very, very fast back then. Because the machine was very raw. There were no abstract layers within the machine. Back then, you were right there. The hardware is in your face, and you can just touch it. So, and that speeds up development enormously.
If I understand it, you love that stuff, right?
I'd be etching transistors if I had the hardware.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've been getting into it.
He is like the prototype Borg.
Right.
If he could feed into his brain, he would.
I'm waiting for it. Oh, and to those of you who complained about the title of Shooter the first time it came around, just remember it could have been PixelJunk Blobby Mr.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
PixelJunk falling balls.
PixelJunk Falling Balls. So, yeah.
That sounds like an awesome game.
Not so bad.
PixelJunk Falling Balls.
I don't know if we could release that with an ESRB rating
No, we
that...
But we can talk about it on this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We can.
Yeah.
This podcast is not ESRB rated.
Yeah.
PixelJunk hairy ball.
Oh!
No, I mean they're just balls that are hairy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, we don't
I mean,
have any
No,
of
what is his
those.
last name? The guy's first name is Harry.
Exactly. It's only your mind which adds in the details.
Yeah, no,
We're
it's just-
being
it's not what
perfectly
you
innocent.
heard.
We're actually talking about balls that have maybe fallen into some, I don't know, syrup or something.
That's
Oh.
right.
And then they just rolled on a carpet and
Yeah.
they just got hairy.
Balls, yeah.
It's yeah.
Oh dear.
Harold Balls.
Harold Balls the Third, Esquire.
So Dylan, I know you've been having some fun playing with people on the online battle mode
Oh, yes,
or
every
multiplayer
night.
portion.
Every night.
Yeah. So can you share some experiences you had?
Yeah, no, online, we're loosening the connection parameters for it, so people can connect to a lot more people now than before, like different countries as well, which is good. And so one guy I came up against was a Russian guy, and he had his mic on, and I could hear his family were like all probably sitting around the TV watching him play. Because every time I kind of pulled off a move and like grabbed a survivor and I was like, pulling out of his base, like you could hear like a chorus of people like his family in the background.
Well, actually, like right when GDC started on Monday, Sony put together this Shooter 2 PR event where we had a whole tournament. It was media and fans. It was a big community event. There was free alcohol and food, and it was.
Was it about 150 people?
Yeah, that's a
lot of people.
There's a lot of people. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people. It was a packed house.
See, they didn't tell me it was an open bar. Otherwise, I would have gone.
You would have gone.
I would have hopped to
They
plane.
didn't tell me.
Hopped to plane. And
tell me.
photo just for
I mean, talk about miss out the important information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this later, but Jaymin's got some vouchers you can use.
Oh,
Yeah, if you want to fly back to the US on United.
Okay. Do you want to share that?
Is that the time for this?
I think this is the time.
So maybe we should introduce. So everybody flew to America on United this time.
Yeah.
And,
Because that's the flight to San Francisco
from Kansai.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like one direct flight.
And we were lucky to fly in United because like it's not guaranteed that you'll actually fly
Oh, well,
when you buy a ticket with them.
no. You pay the money and it's a lottery.
Yeah.
So
Basically.
So I
Very
flew out early and
For the
left
event,
early
for the big
because I
event.
had to go to the big event. There was the big tournament. It was awesome, and thank you all for coming, by the way, if
Oh,
you're
yes.
listening.
Yeah.
Like
Thank you all for playing.
Jaymin and Bion, who you would know from Eden, took different planes.
Well, different planes than you.
Yeah.
But the same plane.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were both on the same
so,
plane.
sorry, that
Yeah.
was yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
You
so,
weren't all on separate planes.
Yeah.
You're not like the royal family. We don't care
so,
about
so
that.
on the way back, there were some difficulties. I think Jaymin's getting physically stressed by me asking him this question.
Yeah.
I'm rocking in my chair back and forth.
Yeah, you mean to like
So angry about it.
Oh,
Do you
he's
want
a
to share
flickering.
it? Let it out. It'll make you feel
Yeah.
Okay. I'll try to go into as little detail as possible as to not extend the podcast length by an obscene amount. So on the way back, we check in. Everything seems fine. We get to the gate where we're informed that at the very last minute they had to switch to a smaller plane, and 30 of us would not be flying back to Japan.
This is after going through all immigration.
This is after going through
checking
immigration,
in
through
everything.
security.
All your bags are on
Checking
the plane.
bags,
Check
yeah.
bags are on the
Which, by
plane.
the way, don't check bags.
Yeah, that's not a good idea, especially if you fly United. So
Yes.
Can I just ask, how do they do that? Do they ask 30 people to put their hands up? and
Yeah,
say-
how did they choose?
oh no, they didn't take volunteers. They just informed some of us that we would
that's
not be getting
bad.
on. Yeah,
That's bad.
I don't know if they're legally obligated to tell you, but
It should be more. Well, maybe they picked randomly, but
The
I doubt
non-respect
it.
thing to
I
do.
bet they just chose like the 30 people at the back of the plane or something.
it could be.
Right, because if you don't purchase the special economy plus ticket, which is like $70 extra, you get stuck in the back where there's no. It's like less than economy class.
Luggage.
It's all a
Like,
scam.
yeah.